Hello and welcome back to the channel, and of course another video about the construction of Heaton Lodge Junction Phase 2. So yes, we have just surpassed 1 ton of ballast used on this layout. That's of course including Phase 1. So that, including the delivery which arrived yesterday, which I'm going to go through with you shortly, is 1 ton of ballast on this railway. I often wonder how much the whole lot actually weighs. My best estimate is about 5 tons, but given it takes 5, well, in fact, it's going to be 6 articulated trucks to shift when it next goes out. 6 tons isn't a lot for them to carry, but anyway, I'm digressing. Thanks a lot for all of you that suggested names for, in fact, I've got it here, the Class 56, which, after all your suggestions, I'm going to go for 56130 Wardley Opencast, because it's a little bit different from the normal power station names and colliery names. Now, I did have a couple of names, which some jokers suggested, one of which nearly made me spit my tea out. I've got to tell you this, I have. Sorry, I had Jimmy Savile, which I kind of don't think would go down well in this day and age, especially as you can't laugh at anything these days. But the thought of Jimmy Savile on the side of a Class 56 pulling a MGR train around this layout in front of the general public, I don't think that's going to happen somehow. But sorry, it's sorry, it's just my sense of humour. But and the other one was Heaton Lodge Junction. Heaton Lodge Junction, which is a bit of a more sensible name, but I don't think I'm going to go with that because it's obviously fictitious. The other one was me, Simon George, and somebody said, in fact, a couple of people said, why don't you put your name on the side of this loco because of all the hard work you've put in? Well, it's a nice idea, but to be quite honest with you, even if I was important enough, my ego would not be big enough or isn't big enough for my name to go on the side of a locomotive. Anyway, swiftly moving on. So today, yes, I'm going to go through the normal deliveries with you. I've got a book of the week, and we're just going to catch up on progress. So fair bit to go through here. So without further ado, let's crack on. So let's move on to deliveries this week, and it may be boring to some of you, but yes, this is what has landed in 20 kilo bags from Mike at Geoscenics, which is my preferred ballast supplier. And Mike came all the way from where he lives. I forgot where he lives actually, but anyway, he came all the way to drop this ballast to me, which is really good of him. It's not exactly something you can put through the post, but yeah, there's about 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 140 kilograms of ballast here, which still isn't enough to finish the layout, but it does exceed that 1 ton that I mentioned in the introduction. So what have we got? We've got the black ballast, or sidings ballast, which I'm using. As you can see, I can just pan over actually. This is it laid there. That concrete track is actually not being weathered yet, and nor is the ballast. We've got weathered ballast here, which I use for the main lines, and in fact that's not it, but this is it. Just pan over. It's my car keys. Then that's some of the weathered ballast which has been used. And then we've got granite, which I quite like the granite. I think I'm going to be using that on the HS3 high-speed line, because with the concrete track it really does look nice. So yeah, loads of ballast landed, lots of PVA glue as well, and yeah, let's move on. Now, people. Now, I've not mentioned people before, but there are going to be an awful lot of people on Heaton Lodge Junction, simply because, especially phase 2, because there's 2 stations, I really want to make sure it's well populated. And these cheapo figures, which you can get on eBay, as you can see by Eve Model, can't tell if that's the right, yeah, Eve Model, come on eBay. I think you can get them in 00 as well. They are cheap, they're nowhere near the quality of companies like Model U or similar, but you can paint them, and make them look a little bit different. So they're quite cheap on eBay, and they come in packs of about 50. So yeah, I've actually recruited my mum into painting some of these during the day, so that's good. Wire, I know these things aren't that exciting, but wire, incidentally, I use 0.75mm wire for the droppers on Heaton Lodge, even though it's 10 amps, which is going to need to power. We haven't really talked about power much, but we're going to be doing so a lot early next year. But the wire, the one thing I did on phase one was I used far too thick a wire for the droppers, because what I didn't appreciate, not being an electrician, is that impedance is a big thing. The thicker the wire, the more the current actually slows down and loses its advantage. So you've got to draw a balance really, and the 0.75mm wire for the droppers has been recommended by the chaps that are going to be doing the wiring and the automation next year. Anyway, more exciting things. The next Class 56 has rolled off the production line. This is one Port of Hull 56087, which I have weathered and just completely finished now. I'm just going to move this one out of the way. We'll come back to that in a minute. But yeah, this has just come back from Lee's Loco, so it's all, this one's actually got a smoke unit in it, so it's synchronized, so as it accelerates, it should blast a bit of clag from the exhaust, so what looks like, well, looks a bit like clag. Yeah, weathered, rail match satin varnish has finished it off and given it that nice kind of metallic appearance without being too shiny or too dirty. The only thing that I cocked up on, for want of a better word, is if you look at the grills, not the big ones, but the ones above, I have made a right mess there, because the grills are pulled off as part of the repainting progress. And don't forget, for those of you that have joined the channel recently, I've repainted a lot of Class 56s simply because Hellion never released their 56 in EWS livery or indeed Colas livery. So I'm going to repaint these. This was a BR Rail Freight Grey. It's been repainted, and yeah, I made a bit of a cock up there, so I'm going to have to Dremel all that awful super glue, which I tried to glue the grills back down with, made a right mess. So I'm going to Dremel that off and then just reattach some new grills, which I've just got from Gauge Master, and have another go. I'm not perfect, far from it, and yeah, I made a bit of a mess there. But apart from that, it looks pretty good. Again, not a full repaint, sorry, a full repaint, but not one that I've actually stripped down. So I just blasted over this with high coat primer, and yeah, it's come out okay, with the exception, of course, of the grills. This one has just landed from Lee's Locos 2, which is obviously a 58, a bone as they're called, Markham Colliery, and this one's just been fitted with DCC and sound, so I'm looking forward to hearing that. I always think 58s actually sound more like Hoovers than anything else. I mean, they're called 50s Hoovers, but I really do think that 58s have got a particular note, which of course none of us are going to hear again because there isn't any working, at least in the UK anymore. But that one I weathered, put drivers in, and yeah, that's looking good. So that's going to be working on Heaton Lodge. And I've had another TEA delivered, which is made by Andrew Proctor from Skog, a Skog kit, SKOG. He's making 18 of these altogether, and I'm just going to collect a batch of 10 in a couple of weeks' time. But he's made a really good job of it and built some weight in as well, I'm pleased to add, because you know, you really do need some weight. It runs really smoothly, and he's done a really good job with the weathering. TA is obviously not available in O-Gauge. Dapple, are you listening? And yeah, they really would make a good addition if somebody did have the courage to bring one out in O-Gauge, because of course TAs, when were they built? Early 60s. All the way up to, yeah, I mean, they're still running today under the VTG logo, I think. And talking of which, this is going to run really well with Dave Lowry's rake, of VTG TEA, so it's going to make up a second rake. So yeah, that's about it for deliveries this week. Oh, in fact, no, it isn't. Let's nip over and just have a look at the new footbridge that has landed. And instead of cutting the camera, I'm going to walk you over and just show you. Oh, but before I do, crikey, I'm making a mess here, aren't I? Let me show you this. So this is the Dewsbury station building, and I've been busy lighting this because in the next couple of weeks it is going to be secured in position permanently, so I need to make sure the lighting works. And if I turn it on, there we go, look at that. So what I've done is I've just used, for those of you that watch these videos regularly, you'll know, I've just used foam board to surround the windows, hot glued it in, and then just put some little LED lights in, because what I don't like is buildings where everything is lit up like a Christmas tree. So there's only certain windows lit up, and as you can see, I've just done one on the skylight there. This was a building, as most of you know, was built by Monksgate Models, not me, but it really is nicely done, and it's going to be a big feature on this layout just over by the station itself. So let's duck under. So we've got 2 footbridges have landed. This is the one that I have just painted. Now this is very like the one on the HS3 station, apart from, as you can see, it's got 3 sets of stairwells, 3 lift shafts, and I purposely wanted a more modern one to offset the station building, which you can just see there. I just think modern and kind of older buildings look really well together. So that is one of 2 of the new stairwells, corridors, whatever you call it. Sorry, not corridors. I'm losing my train of thought here now. Too early in the morning. And then the other one is this one here. Now, so what I've done here is, in fact, what James has done here, my helper, as he's made a cracking job of this, because this is basically a copy of the old Healy Mills footbridge, which the staff used to walk over to sign on in the shed. And I thought it'd be really nice to combine this with some modern 3D printed stairs. So the stairs are the same as these here, but all I've done, or all James has done, is dremeled out a gap, and then with a bit of card at the end, constructed a barrier sort of thing. And now we've got a kind of a bastardized footbridge, which is made of loads of components, but that is going to sit at the far end of the station. And once it's weathered with rust all over the iron structure here, and then of course this is going to be painted concrete with handrails and everything else painted and picked out, chevrons on the steps. That's going to look really good. So I think the 2 together will make a nice kind of compromise. Well, not compromise, they'll just make a nice pair together. So, and if we just pan over while I'm at this side to the station, James has been dedicating himself to building this canopy that we featured the other week by Pop-Up Designs. There's some more of these arriving this week, and we're still working on this together. And the new station building, sorry, the old station building of Dewsbury is going to be in that place there where my cup of tea is actually standing. So yeah, there we go. That is it for deliveries this week, folks. Let's move on to, in fact, let's talk about Book of the Week. Okay, so let's move on to book of the week. Now, unsurprisingly, I'm going to feature an old favourite. And this I've talked about in previous videos, and I said in previous videos, or a previous video, if you only buy one book on scenery, then make sure it's this one. And Modelling Grassland and Landscape Detailing, published by Wild Swan and by Gordon Gravitt, is probably, and well, for me, is an absolute icon of a book. It's one that I've used as a kind of a Bible over the years, and I've kind of honed lots of Gordon Gravitt's techniques on scenery. I've changed them, I've modified them, and that's no detriment to his landscaping, because it really is in a class of its own. And if you just look inside, if I just move the light out of the way, there's all sorts about constructing, get my words out, constructing roads. What I really like is the one about water. It talks about the canopy that I use, or the postiche, for grass and building up ground cover. But yeah, the puddles, for example, I mean, I hope he doesn't mind me zooming in on his own book, but I mean, look at that. How can you get more real than that? And if you want to know how to do all this, and it's techniques that I've copied as well, and as I've just said, I've modified, then that is a great book to buy. So, yeah, there's not much else I can say. It's just one of those ones which, yeah, I can pick up, I can read anytime, and it just never gets boring. It's a bit like the one that I featured last week, the Encyclopedia of Model Railways, which incidentally, so many people commented on that book in the YouTube comments, because again, it's something, if you're of a certain age and over, like me, you will remember that book because you probably got it for Christmas. And but this one is also well worth a Christmas present. It's just a super book. Again, one of my favourites. I can't remember how much it is, but you can still get it. And as I've said, it's published by Wild Swan and by Gordon Gravitt. So there we go. That is Book of the Week. So this is what we did at the end of last week's matinee, which of course is the landscaping. And now this is all dried, it looks great to me, it really does, even if I say so myself. I'm going to do the rest of this this weekend, and all this ballast is now dried. I just need to give the track a bit of a vac, because I don't want static grass or loose blades of it all over the track. So there we go. But let's just nip down and have a look at the other ballasting while we're at this end, given it takes a couple of minutes to walk from one end to the other. But slight exaggeration there, but it is a fair trek. But anyway, here is the ballasting I've done in the last few days, which is mainly made up of that sidings ballast again. And yeah, we just follow it round. We're coming near the mainline station. This is just about dry, not quite. And again, I've mixed and matched it, granite, limestone, the weathered ballast, and of course the sidings ballast, which is kind of dominates everything because there's so many sidings around here. And don't forget, you're not just looking at all the track here. There's going to be all these extension carts on the left with it as well. And talking of extension carts, James and I were talking the other day, and we've just nailed down what is going to be happening, as in the location of all the buildings that are going to be landing in January and February that are being built by Stubby47.com, Stuart Hilton, and he's building a Starbucks and a McDonald's and 3 meters of shops, including a massive Debenhams store. And they're going to be situated, the latter, that's the shops, at the other side. So they're going to be situated on new extension carts which have yet to land. On this side here, next to the multi-storey car park, you can see in the distance. And there's going to be a road that comes right round the back of the multi-storey, past the shops. The shops are all going to be mounted quite high up, at least a couple of feet above the station. And then the road will simply come right over the bridge here, and then it will drop down to where these footbridges are that we talked about earlier. And here, and at this side down there, is going to be the McDonald's and Starbucks and what else? A petrol station, that's right. So they're all going to be down here. So this is going to be a kind of a cacophony, if that's a word, of shops and petrol stations and lots of, well, just a basic urban town. So that is what is going to be here. And I think we've just about nailed down where everything's going to be. The castle, which of course is now going to be a hotel, Best Western Hotel, which of course was built by Alan Downs, who was a bit of a mentor for me, as most of you know. It's going to be called the Downs Hotel, Best Western, and that is going to be situated high up on a hill, and it's going to be looking down, as hopefully he is at the minute, on all this. And yeah, it's going to be probably a couple of feet higher than everything else, with a road leading up to it. So yeah, that's about it for this side. I'm glad it's all nailed down, because when the buildings land, I think this side of things, this end, is going to be, it's just going to look phenomenal. It's just all the street lighting I need to nail down, but I've got a few ideas for that. But I'm just going to make sure that everything is lit up, and there's lots of people and lots of things that are moving, especially trains. So yeah, there we go. That just completes a chat about this end of the layout. Right, folks, that's about it for this week. Thanks for watching as usual, and all your comments are much appreciated. So thanks again. Please have a great weekend, and like and subscribe if you can, because it does make a difference. Just a few from 10,000 subscribers now, which is, I keep saying it, but I'm very flattered you watch these videos. And yeah, I've said many times, it really does help me as well, because certainly has made me a little bit more sociable these days. So thanks again for watching. As I've just said, have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.